Okay, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of On Point EDC. Today we have a really cool and limited knife for you from Kershaw. So a little bit about the brand. Peter Kershaw, a former Gerber knife salesman, founded the brand in 1974 out of Portland, Oregon. They, of course, are U.S. in origin, and now they have factories in U.S., Japan, and China. Their market segment is, mostly entry-level to mid-range, with a few exceptions, and I think this is kind of one of them. As far as the type of knife this is, it's a light use EDC folder, and it's more modest in size as far as kind of those key characteristics. Smaller footprint, very versatile blade style, and that's mostly goes for the base model, which is this is the Skyline, but this is a very special version of it. It is the Premium Skyline in S30V with titanium scales, which is really nice. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and zoom out and do a quick little wristwatch check. As you can see, I have the Raven Trekker on here. Ooh, let me wipe it off. It's got a little bit of dust on it there. Some smudges, but let's make sure we get a good look. Great piece. Let me charge it up really fast for you. Get that nice gratuitous lume shot. Really great BGW9. Lights up so nicely. Just another one of the many pluses in the pros kind of column of why this watch is awesome. I did a full review on this, but briefly, really nice Jubilee bracelet on there, nice big crown, very nice kind of reimagining of a few different vintage aspects to create something that is, very modern feeling, and it's, how solidly it's constructed and how reliable and dependable it is, but still has those really cool vintage aesthetics that we all kind of grew up liking as far as, in our little trip in the watch collecting game. So, I think it wears pretty similar to the Tudor Pelagos. And it's actually kind of a blend between the Pelagos and the Black Bay in a lot of ways as far as the case shape and some of those details. But of course, it's not an homage to either. It's really doing its own thing, and I think it looks great, and you will see that flopping around my wrist during this review. So now let's get back to this guy right here, which is the S30V Kershaw Skyline limited edition. And, as you can see, made in the good old US of A. Also, there are some mods on here. Of course, this little 550 cord lanyard, milled pocket clip from MXG Gear, and also these blued titanium standoffs also from MXG Gear versus the kind of plastic backspacer that it had. So now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about this. So these were basically right around $105 when they were new. Of course, they're discontinued now, so they're harder to find. So you'll kind of find them right around that 150 and up range, depending on, who's selling and the condition, or, if it's from eBay or, somebody who just bought a couple while they knew they were going to go eventually out of stock and would be discontinued, and they figured they'd make a couple bucks. So I was very lucky. I found somebody that bought one, and it was basically brand new in box and primed and ready for me to do a couple of, my little very predictable mods that I do. So as far as the materials go, of course, and the blade, we'll start with the blade shape. It is a nice drop point blade, but it almost has that really cool spear tip feel to it. But I think it is very nicely executed. Nice and thin profile, great for slicing. Of course, it uses CPM S30V, which is a premium stainless steel. It is US-based crucible steel, and then it is in that really great stone wash finish. The handle is full carbon fiber, and these are real pieces of carbon fiber. It's not an overlay over G10 or anything like that. You know, although this is a liner lock, so there is a piece of steel that's there, but it's not really part of the handle. The handle is solid carbon. So, yeah, of course, I already touched on the pocket clip and the standoffs from MXG Gear. Big shout out to them. And then the specs were posted earlier, but one thing I want to point out is that the weight is right at about 2.5 ounces, which is nice and light. You know, of course, I've added probably a little bit of weight here with the pocket clip, and, you know, maybe a little bit also with the lanyard, but it's already a light knife, so, and that thin profile, it just really suits the way it feels really nicely. So it just has a really nice balance, very great predictable feel, you know, in different grips. You can just, this just works really well for so many different reasons. So as you can see, these in-hand ergonomics are really nice, really great classic grip there. Makes, you know, your thumb wants to just rest really nicely here, depending on how far you want to choke up, you know, for precision cuts. But one of the really great things is that although, you know, it isn't the biggest knife, the handle, as you can see, extends a little bit longer in the front, so you can get nice purchase versus, let's say, if it was matching the back, then you'd be missing that piece there. So this really gives you a lot of room to work with if you have, you know, medium or to large size hands. This is still going to work for you really well, and I like the slope that's on it because it makes it kind of a nice little space for a lanyard, and which is always fun, and can actually, you know, makes it really nice to help you pull your knife out just a little bit quicker when you need to, and speed matters. So that's really nice as far as in hand. You know, it's definitely has really nice contours on here that just makes sense. Nothing that is, you know, for no reason. It's just very functional, and the form is built around that function, and it helps tremendously when you're picking up a simple knife that just has that X factor. So as far as the action goes, it's very smooth and fast to open and close. You know, it's only running on phosphor bronze washers at the pivot. So, you know, it's not the fanciest technology that's out there, but at the same time, there's plenty of expensive custom knives that are on phosphor bronze washers, as well as, you know, expensive production knives like the Sebenza that are on phosphor bronze washers. So can't really hold it against it. You know, I think that actually is one of the things that's part of the beauty of this knife, is how simple it is. I mean, you could field strip this, you know, in a heartbeat. I mean, it would be a little bit harder for me now because I put this lanyard here, but pretty much you don't have to worry about a bunch of ball bearings or anything falling out or getting dirty. So it just helps with that really simple yet functional design philosophy that you're seeing here. Now, in the pocket, it is very slim, you know, and you know, the clip is pretty decent from the factory, but I just thought that, you know, it was a nice opportunity to get a nice milled clip on here, really increase that kind of premium feel that this already has, you know, kind of being a premium version of a, you know, a $40 knife. So I think it really helps. I almost put it tip down, but I thought that I'm just so used to carrying it tip up, but I think aesthetically it looks pretty nice with the I'm just kind of used to seeing Skylines with the pocket clip for tip down carry, but you know, it is what it is. I think my hands are just kind of used to carrying it this way, as well as of course pulling it out of my pocket this way. Now, you know, as far as model variants go, there's tons of different variants when it comes to the Skyline. You know, there's a variety of different blade surface finishes, you know, from DLC coated to, you know, satin to a finer bead blast to, you know, a nice stone wash. And then there's also a variety of handle colors and materials, you know, G10, different colors. Now there's all types of aftermarket scales as well. And then, of course, there's the carbon fiber option, which is really nice. Now, as far as comparable options, I'd say one of the ones that would come to my mind first would probably be the Sage 1 from Spyderco. I have a Sage 2, so I won't be able to pull a Sage 1 onto the screen. But basically, you know, that whole Sage line is, you know, they're a bunch of Hall of Famers. Great pricing, you know, same blade steel and S30V. But another option that I could say is right along the same kind of breadth would be the ZT0450, and this is my little kind of modded, pimped out version. MXG gear again with the standoffs there, the titanium standoffs, and then also the milled pocket clip. I think it really goes well. But then now you just have a couple more advances. You know, it's S35 VN steel, and then you have, you know, ball bearing pivot there, so the action is just fantastic. This is pretty much the gold standard when it comes to production flipping knives. And, you know, aftermarket carbon fiber here, then the side scale to keep things light, and, you know, and basically kind of where I lock my fingers in, as you can see, the pinky will come after that hump versus trying to lock onto it. If I just keep it kind of after, a little bit looser, it enables me to lock in here and then just kind of come with support there. But yeah, this is a really great knife. I mean, this is probably bang per buck. I mean, right now these are really approaching in price because you're getting nice discounts on here, which is kind of higher out of the box, a little bit more expensive, but you can get them cheaper. And then now this was cheaper out of the box, but now because they're limited, the prices are going up. So, you know, if you kind of can't find one of these, you know, it's definitely a great option. Just pick up an 0450, which I think is, you know, a better knife subjectively. I should say actually objectively a better knife. And then there's just some of those things that kind of intangibles that make this knife really great. And you know, it's almost kind of like a little evolution that kind of happened. And kind of the third comparable is going to be on the more expensive side. It's my small Sebenza Knife Art Edition. You know, really great S35 VN steel, titanium handle, carbon side scale. This is the Knife Art edition. You know, and as you can see, there's a aesthetic that I definitely like, right? Is the carbon fiber titanium with blue accents. So, you know, I've done that here on both of these, and these are kind of almost, you know, this is kind of like the missing link between these knives here, and that it's kind of wider, and then you can see the profile just kind of changes a little bit and morphs. So, you know, I think that's kind of fun. And then, of course, I put the lanyard on here. I don't think a lanyard, from what I've seen, lanyards don't really look great on the 0450. And honestly, I feel like there's enough to grab to pull out of your pocket to where you don't necessarily need one. But yeah, such a great knife. Fantastic. Great quality. If you want to see the full review on this, I actually reviewed it before it had the carbon fiber side scale, and I had a different clip. But it's on the channel. Actually, you'll see kind of more in depth when I'm reviewing the Knife Art Sebenza, small Sebenza here, which I think is still, you know, very similar. It has phosphor bronze washers. You know, it's nice and smooth, this closing action. It's not the fastest, but it's definitely very smooth. And similar here with that, you know, just nice quality, kind of simple, old school construction, but really nice. So, I mean, if there ever was a flipper Sebenza, I gotta say that, you know, the Skyline comes pretty close. And, you know, with this special edition Skyline, it really It just gives you kind of that bang per buck that that everybody's always looking for. And you can add a milled pocket clips, although nobody complains really about the spring clip on the Sebenza. It's definitely one of the kind of legendary pocket clips that are out there. But you can get a very similar aesthetic if you don't want to spend the money. You can just find one of these, and it's limited, so it's still very special, versus the Knife Art edition. It's special as well, but you're gonna pay a pretty big premium versus here. It's already gonna have the carbon fiber scales on there for you. Very comparable blade steel. It's just basically one iteration back from S35 is S30. And there's going to be a pretty large aftermarket for this knife, because it's one of the more popular knives that are under $50. I mean, some people might say it's even the best EDC knife under $50. So that's always something to think about. Now, I mean, really the bottom line is, again, this is just a limited and premium version of an already iconic EDC flipper in the Skyline. So I just think this is a really great option, and this is my little take on kind of, the premium version of the premium version, and that kind of OEM plus style, something that looks like it could have been a special edition, nothing too wild, as far as like reprofiling or anything crazy like that. But it's just a great looking piece, feels good in hand. Really nice smooth action, not the snappiest of course, because it's on just the phosphor bronze washers, and then it just has these kind of the blade stops there versus kind of having a locking bar within, so that snap is going to be a little bit less authoritative when it hits, because it's not really hitting metal in both places. It's just on the liner. Everything else is hitting that carbon, which I find actually kind of deadens the sound a little bit more. Even the same thing happened on my 0450. Where when it was on just the titanium scales, I felt like it had a snappier, kind of clack when it would lock. And now I think a lot of that actually is getting absorbed by the carbon. So it actually kind of muffles the noise. If you look at that as a positive, that's also out there in the world to think about. So let's go ahead and kind of close. Actually, why not bring these all back out here? Well, let's go carbon side. All right, all made in the USA, all very comparable steels and materials in the handles. Really, really cool, and all in different price ranges. So, hopefully this gives you guys a couple of ideas as far as options on what you can do with your budget. This is a really affordable knife. I think, people might have been only thrown off initially when this came out at around $100 because, it's based off a knife that's about $40, right? And is newer blade steel and, different scales really worth it for you to spend that money all at once? But I mean, you start thinking about it, the money you spend doing this aftermarket, and you're actually spending more. So, that's definitely something. And so hopefully you liked the video. If you did, I hope you did click like. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for more content just like this. Make sure to leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. Which knife out of these is your favorite? Do you have any of these knives? What are some of your experiences, good, bad, and ugly? Let me know. Thanks, guys. Bye.